I want to welcome Agile XRM to the podcast. I've known the people at Agile XRM for the past 12 years. I've seen how their business process management tool can add massive value to complex organizational processes in sectors such as finance and government. If you have complex processes or a need for dialogues on the Power Platform or Dynamics 365, take a look at how this BPM tool can add value. You can find them at agilexrm.com or check out the show notes for more details. Welcome to the MVP Show. My intention is that you listen to the stories of these MVP guests and are inspired to become an MVP and bring value to the world through your skills. If you have not checked it out already, I do a YouTube series called How to Become an MVP. The link is in the show notes. With that, let's get on with the show. Today's guest is from the Netherlands. He works as a technical solution architect at 4PS. He was first awarded as MVP in 2023. He has been working with NavVision since 2007, where he started as a consultant with Nav 4.0. He studied economics, but has always been interested in computers. You can find links to his bio and social media in the show notes for this episode. Welcome to the show, Bert.
Thanks for having me, Mark. It's pleasure is all mine. And the introduction is good. I'm Bert, 40 years old, from indeed the Netherlands. A very small town, Barneveld. It's in the center of the Netherlands. I live there with my wife and 3 kids. And my oldest with a son, he's 9, and 2 daughters from 6 and 3.
Wow. Isn't that region you live in famous for chickens?
This the condensed of chicken farms is quite condensed in Barneveld. So that's the famous about it. And we have got also the museum about all the chickens. It's maybe all other guys say, okay, that's crazy, a museum only for chicken. But it's coming out quite a lot of people in there, so that's really crazy and nice to have it. Yeah.
Nice. Now tell me, what do you do for fun?
What I do for fun mostly is working at my house, reconstructing everything. Because a couple of months ago, 3 months ago, I've moved from one house to another house, and we have to renovate all our living home. So right now, that's what I'm doing for fun right now.
Nice. And let me see if I can get, now I'm not going to try and guess, but what's your favorite food, or what food do you recommend when people visit the Netherlands that they should eat?
Well, it's mostly that's quite difficult. I like in the winter. That's mostly the heavy cost. It's quite heavy food, but we call it burkel or cirkel. That's with potatoes and sauerkraut, and that's quite nice to eat in the winter times.
Just before we jump into your career path and whatnot, and what you've done as an MVP, the Netherlands always stands out as one of those countries that are very advanced in like renewable energy, the adoption of solar. One of the things, like I'm growing plants, vegetables and stuff on my property all the time. And one of the things when I was in the Netherlands, they invented this idea of growing plants vertically. So therefore, per square meter, you could get a much higher yield. And then I know that there's either paths or roads that are all solar panels and they charge, and I have a feeling, I'm not sure if I'm right, but something by like 2030 you'll have no fossil fuel vehicles or something like that is one of the goals. Or
that is what indeed one of the goals indeed, and that is also typical Dutch. We want to always the first in the classroom, with the best degrees and stuff like that. So we have set the goal in 2030 with no only electrical cars. But that's also typical Dutch is from the history. We are a trading company, so we trade a lot with all other companies. All other countries, and that's quite also our speaking. We speak more English, German, France, and Spanish than the Netherlands, and we adapt very, very fast to it. And because it's also a small country, we have to innovate from what is the best way to do it. Also help with plants growing, indeed, what you said, vertical, but also with our water. Netherlands is below sea level, and 6 years ago we have quite a lot of 6 years it was, yes, a flood coming from sea land, so all is drowning. So we had to prevent that for it. So that's we are a little bit quite innovative.
And of course, great explorers. My country is called New Zealand, and that's a Dutch name, isn't it? That's been given to our country.
Yeah, indeed. We have a province also called Sealand. So, and they were sailing from Sealand, and then discovered New Zealand and give it that name. Same as New York, it's called New Amsterdam, but fortunately, they have to sell it.
Yeah. Tell me a bit about your company, 4PS. If I've got it right in the translations and whatnot, is it you specialize in? Is it construction? Is that the area of where you operate?
Yeah, we do only companies in the construction industry. 20 years ago, we did it only in the Netherlands, and we said, okay, we want one product. That's Microsoft. We buy it from them, and from back then it was NavVision, because it's really customizable. And we said, okay, we do one product. We are one ISV only doing in the construction market, and indeed that's was growing. And now we also have an international spread partnerships to other companies in there.
So I take it you've created a vertical overlay for Business Central for the construction sector. Is that right?
Yeah, indeed. And that's
is there much you have to do from country to country? Is there many nuances between how construction is reported on, quantified, etc. in BC? Does it differ from country to country much, or it's negligible?
Well, the base is almost indeed the same. You have a project and doing your control on that and your administration. But indeed, there are specific country versions. For example, UK, you have got with the subcontractors. Germany is slightly different again. So indeed, we built a W1 based on W1 of Microsoft, and we have also country versions, like the same model as Microsoft does.
Yeah. And are you seeing much need to also use the Power Platform and things like Power Automate, Power BI, Power Pages? Are you starting to see that integrated Power Apps, etc., more, or is it still quite separate, or are you locking that into part of your ISV story as well?
Yeah, in a couple of years, and the construction industry is very conservative, so the innovation are going there very slow. But in 2 years ago, we saw an immense growth of people that said, okay, we want to automate things, and you can do it with the Power Platform. So that's also that we acquire another company specialized only in the Power Platform, so they can consult our customers on that one. Because there was a growing demand on indeed Power Apps, Power BI, Power Automate, and had just to not from an ISV standpoint, but only for customizations, because a company is always special, they said, and they want always some nice features, some that we don't build in our product. And therefore, the Power Platform is very strong for that one.
In the solutions that you've done in Business Central, let's say, where do you see the role of AI playing in the next 2 or 3 years in the actual product?
Well, that is mostly with AI in an ERP system. That's a little bit hard, because in an ERP system, when you want your figures, you want to do it right, and that's mostly the problem of, not the problem with AI, but yeah, it is a percentage of right. It's only 90% right, and in an ERP system, you want to have fully figured 100% right. But I can see there is some need from finance figures. How you see your cash flow is growing over the years, and all that kind of financial stuff. But also, I think there is a need in not only in the cash flow, but also in your prognosis on your project. And especially, we have some companies that has quite a large of projects, and that's a whole special company for them. So they want to do a prognosis for the coming years, and that is doable with AI, I think.
Interesting. Do you think AI is going to impact the construction industry?
It certainly does, indeed. Just for recognition and all the automation and stuff like that. Yeah.
Interesting. I was involved in a project in Hong Kong for a construction company, and one of the biggest things as we engaged on this project was artifact storage. So, inspector, site manager, whatever, goes out and they take photos of lots of stuff. And so as cameras have advanced, those photos have got larger. The document collection or artifact collection, let's call it, has grown exponentially, and they were even finding SharePoint was really limiting where they could go. How do you handle, the aggregate of documents that are generated on a big construction project?
There are indeed a lot of documents on that, and also when you're offering stuff, there are a lot of details on that, and it's quite large because you have also drawing. And indeed, we see SharePoint has some limits, but SharePoint is also quite good in collaboration. So that you see also in construction companies, there's a lot of subcontractors involved in one project, and that's where you need SharePoint. But what we see also is, indeed, what you said, that there's a limit storage on that, and therefore we use Azure data lake or file storage, just to store all the files around there. And if the project is finished, we are moving that to that store. In that case.
Yeah, smart move. When I was doing that job, which was many moons ago, that didn't exist from Microsoft at that time. And of course, the limitations on SharePoint were much higher. It hadn't advanced to where it's got to now. Interesting. How did you become an MVP? What was that journey for you?
Well, it wasn't for me intended to be becoming an MVP, and mostly what we see for in my company for PS, I'm working there for 10 years. We were always a little bit back from the versions, but when transforming from Dynamics NAV to Business Central, I said to myself, we need to be for on the latest versions always, and investigate stuff, new features that Microsoft bringing out, because when moving also to the cloud, you've got a lot of more features on that, and that's why I started investigating in the community on Jammer. Also, we got a little bit more collaboration with Microsoft. And so you learn people, you take advice from people. And then I realized, okay, hey, I'm getting a lot from that community. And why shouldn't I give it back? So in the Corona time, someone asked me, okay, Bert, can you tell something about telemetry inside this central on a Dutch event? And I said, yeah, okay, sure. It is safe behind your computer, not with 40 people in the room. And that's why I started from, okay, that was quite fun. Then last year, a colleague of mine joined me. He's also an MVP. Said, okay, why don't we do a session together on Tech Days? So yeah, okay. I said, okay, let's do that. When I said that, a couple of weeks, I said, why I'm doing this? Because there were 200 people in the room. So that was a little bit scary for me for the first time. But that was quite fun. And then you learn a lot of more people, share your knowledge, and that's my main goal, just to share knowledge about what you have learned. And that's I think also the greatest in when you see in the business central world. There's a really dense community, and you know each other. You see each other at events, and from just people you know, they could become friends, just to share other things than business. And that's why I said, okay. Someone said, okay, I will recognize you as an MVP, and then I said, oh shit, now it comes stress to recognize it. Indeed.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Wow. In your observation of coming from NAV and now in Business Central, what do you miss that was in NAV that you don't have anymore? And it might have been a way of working. It might have been the fact that you could touch the hardware, any number of things. And then what excites you, the flip side of the question, what excites you about working with Business Central?
The most downside is you have in Business Central the shortcut keys, and working. Now you are working in a browser, and that's a little bit slower than you have gotten a Windows application just running on your local machine. And we see that it is a little bit slows down, but right now you see also Microsoft is picking that up and working on that. That's a little bit what I miss, but that's the only thing, because there are a lot of new opportunities in there, and that's what I see is from CAL to AL, the language. Microsoft investing a lot of new features in the language. We have a lot of objects in there, so it's starting a real comprehensive language, but also moving to the cloud. And that is one thing we see that we thought, okay, constructors have what I said, they are a little bit conservative, but when they move into the cloud, there are a lot of opportunities out there. You can do stuff with Azure, with the Power Platform, and all the connections are there. And that's something what we said, okay, that's a huge benefit of Business Central in the cloud. And that's very interesting.
Yeah. And is it nice not having all your customers on different versions, or upgrade paths, that you had in the NAV timeframe? You'd have that a lot less now in cloud, right?
Yeah, indeed. And that's we have some customers that are on NAV 2009 on-prem still. And last year, because we are on an embedded app, a modified base app yet, no? So last year we went 130 customers from one version to another version, and that go very smooth. And we said, okay, if we do it for 300 customers, that will be amazing. That's just in 1 month that we migrate 130 customers from one version to another.
Wow, that's incredible, eh?
That was a really good feeling in that, and that's we had to pressure that because there was some security issue from OAuth 2. So we said, okay, we must, and that was a really great feeling when the job was finished and we take a beer with each other and said, okay, it was a really great, good project with no issues at all.
Hey, thanks for listening. I'm your host, Business Application MVP Mark Smith, otherwise known as the NZ365 Guy. If you like the show and want to be a supporter, check out buymeacoffee.com/NZ365 Guy. Thanks again, and see you next time.